Today, I'm talking about your ideal dose for your shot of espresso. Do you ever get confused on knowing which is the ideal dose for your shot of espresso? Could it be 16 grams, 18 grams, 20 grams, or even 22? These are some of the most common doses that many baristas use. But do you know the reason why they choose this amount of coffee to be their dose for their shot of espresso? Randomly choosing this different dose of coffee without a clear understanding on what are the key factors that you need to consider when choosing the ideal dose for your shot of espresso is a common mistake that many beginner baristas do. Just picking a random dose as their ideal dose for the shot of espresso, not knowing if you get the dose wrong, you're going to have uneven extraction of your shot of espresso, resulting into a bitter, sour, watery, burnt in your taste of your shot of espresso. Because there are different criteria that you need to follow when you're trying to choose the ideal dose for your shot of espresso. And this is why I have decided to share this video with you, because I'm going to be guiding you on what you need to understand about your ideal dose for your shot of espresso. I am a barista who has worked for 7 years, and I've been through the different struggles that you might be facing as a beginner barista, or as a home barista, or even as a professional barista. You and me can make the best tasting cup of coffee. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner barista, a home barista, or even a professional barista. You're going to have something to learn through this video. Without wasting any time, let's dive in. Let's start by understanding what the word dose of coffee means in the barista language. The dose means the amount of coffee that you're going to need to brew your cup of coffee. As we are talking about the ideal dose for a shot of espresso, this means the amount of coffee that I am going to grind from my coffee grinder into my pot filter, just like this. This amount of coffee in the pot filter is what I call my dose. This is my foundation for my shot of espresso. That's why you rarely hear baristas change their dose. They can adjust the grind size, they can adjust the yield out, but the dose, they rarely change it, but still they can change it. And I'm going to be showing this later on in this video. I'm going to show you how baristas can change the dose to fix their uneven extraction of shot of espresso. But for now, let's start by understanding what should we look for if we are to know how much coffee that we need in this pot filter. The first step before choosing any dose, you need to understand which espresso machine you're going to use. Depending on the espresso machine, you're going to find a pot filter. Inside the pot filter, you're going to find the pot filter basket. This is very important. The pot filter basket is what is going to determine how much coffee you can put inside it. For basic home espresso machine like this Breville Barista, it has an 18-gram pot filter basket. You can see with even just your eyes. This is a smaller basket and this is a big basket. Imagine if we randomly choose a coffee dose to make your shot of espresso. For example, you use this 18-gram basket and you put 20 grams of coffee. It's going to be very hard for you to insert it in your group head, and also when you're extracting, you're not going to have a good extraction of your shot of espresso. So it's key. The first step for you to determine how much coffee you need to use as your dose of espresso is to check the pot filter basket. Most of the time, there is an indication on the side of the basket to show you how much grams of grinded coffee can fit inside that basket. If there is no any indication on the basket on how much grams of coffee you can add in that basket, then you can check on the manufacturer's menu of that machine. They always indicate how much coffee grams that you need in that pot filter basket. This is going to be your first step. So after understanding how much coffee you need in that pot filter basket, now the second step is the key coffee tool that you're going to need through this process, and that's going to be a weighing scale. We're going to be using a weighing scale to measure and have the exact measurement of the dose of our shot of espresso. So I start by getting my pot filter, place it on a weighing scale, tally it on 0, grind my coffee. You grind your coffee and you make sure you follow the dose as recommended for the pot filter basket. So after my coffee has finished grinding, put it back on the weighing scale to ensure you're having the exact measurements. So with this pot filter that I'm using, its basket can fit 20 grams of grinded coffee. If you're having less amount of coffee in the pot filter, you can add on more coffee until you have exactly 20 grams into your pot filter basket. After having our dose, which is 20 grams for this pot filter basket, then this is going to lead us to our step 2, how we use this dose in our espresso brew ratio. The basic brew ratio for making espresso is 1:2. So each 1 gram of coffee is equivalent to 2 ml of water. So if I am using 20 grams of coffee in this pot filter basket, I'll multiply it by 2 to get how much is my yield out for my shot of espresso, which is going to be 40 ml of liquid of my shot of espresso. And one other very important thing is the brewing time. For my shot of espresso, I need it to fall in the range of 20 to 30 seconds. Now let's talk about what happens if you use a wrong dose or the wrong amount of coffee when making your shot of espresso. How is it going to influence your espresso extraction and also the taste that you get? So we start with the first incident. If you put less amount of coffee into that pot filter basket, imagine I am using this 20 gram pot filter basket and I add 16 grams. Let's try it out and see how our espresso is going to extract, and I'm going to be testing it so that we know how that shot of espresso will taste. Put your pot filter on a weighing scale, grind your coffee, weigh it again to ensure it's 16 grams. Then extract your shot of espresso. By just observing the flow rate of my shot of espresso, it's flowing very fast. This means this espresso is not going to taste good. In a barista language, this type of espresso is what we call as an under-extracted shot of espresso. When water goes through very fast your coffee without extracting the ideal flavors into the cup of coffee. This shot of espresso is going to taste sour, watery, because you didn't have a good extraction of your shot of espresso. And this is how the dose for your shot of espresso can influence your espresso extraction and the flavors that you get. Another incident, what if I use 22 grams in this 20 gram pot filter basket? How will it affect my extraction? Let's try it out. Same procedure. Put your pot filter on a weighing scale, grind your coffee, bring it back, weigh it again to ensure you're having 22 grams into your pot filter basket. Distribute it and tamp it very well. Insert in your group head, start your extraction. By only looking at this flow rate of my shot of espresso, it's flowing very slow. This means we are not going to end up in our ideal extraction time. And this is what is going to lead to an over-extracted shot of espresso. An over-extracted shot of espresso means an espresso that is flowing very slow. This espresso is going to taste bitter, burnt with unbalanced flavors. And the main cause of this slow extraction is because you used too much coffee in that pot filter basket. So there is no room for water to even circulate through your coffee and give you that well-balanced cup of coffee. So now that you know, if you use too much coffee in your pot filter, it can lead to a very slow extraction, and if you use very less amount of coffee in your pot filter, will result into a very fast extraction of your shot of espresso. So to fix these two common challenge, always use the recommendable amount of coffee as per the size of the pot filter basket. As I said earlier on in this video, now it's time to talk about how you can use dose adjustment to highlight some of the complex flavors in your shot of espresso. When increasing or reducing your dose, you need to follow this general rule. So you only increase by 1 gram or reduce by 1 gram. For example, if you're using a 20 gram basket, you can use 19 grams or 21 grams for that basket. And if you're using an 18 gram basket, you can use 17 grams or 19 grams. But one key thing that you need to keep in mind, you don't increase by 1 gram at a go. You only increase by 0.5 or reduce by 0.5. Test and see if you're having that perfect taste of your shot of espresso. This general rule is put in place to prevent you from over adjusting your dose, because you might encounter the most common challenges. Like if you overdose your coffee above 1 gram, you're highly going to encounter a challenge of overdosing, which is going to cause a very slow extraction of your espresso. And if you over-reduce your dose, you might encounter a challenge of a fast extraction of your shot of espresso. It's key for you to adjust your dose by 0.5 grams until the maximum of 1 gram. If you reach 1 gram and you're not having that perfect taste of your shot of espresso, then consider adjusting the grind size, the ratio, and even tamping. The reason why we increase or reduce our dose is to make sure you highlight the complex flavors. For example, if you increase your dose, you're going to end up with more body in your shot of espresso. And if your espresso is flat with very less acidity, you can reduce on your dose so that you can highlight the acidity and make your espresso to be very flavorful and well balanced. These are some of the key steps that you need to take when you're adjusting your dose. My understanding as a barista, I take the dose of your shot of espresso to be a key foundation if you want to make a good tasting shot of espresso. If you're already making espresso, I have a question for you. Which is the dose that you're using for making your shot of espresso? Make sure to link it in the comment section below. I'm going to be checking them out, and if you have any other challenge about making a good shot of espresso, or you're a beginner barista or a home barista who wants to start your journey of making espressos at home or in a coffee shop, I would recommend for you to watch this full video next for a full guide on how you can calibrate and make the best tasting shot of espresso by using grind size.